Toby here has had nearly 4 months off, and I thought it would be really interesting for me to share with you our walk pole workout that we've just started doing in preparation for bringing him back into work. So you can see I've got a surcingle on here, and I'm actually going to be long reining him just off a head collar. He's been so good. I don't really feel the need for anything stronger. You can of course use either a head collar or a bridle or a lunge carrison. Well done, Toby, you've managed to untie yourself, which is a very special skill that Toby has. So top tip when it comes to doing lunging and long reining is have good rope handling skills and make sure that the rope is nicely organised in your hand. So if you make sure that all the loops are approximately the same size and really know the order in which you've put the loops into your hand, so you can get the order that they come out as well, if that makes sense. So I'm going to hold it this way around and it'll work just fine. So I'll tuck it through the surcingle on this side and onto the head collar here. And I'm going to walk round, come round the back and pick up this rope. Can I remember the order? Not quite. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did with the other rope and just pick up my loops so I know that I'm super organised with those. There we go. And then I'll be ready to go. So just need to, Toby, stand still, untie him from the wall and we're ready to start. Here we go. Toby, walk on. Toby, walk on. And we'll do a lap of the arena to warm up to start with. It's a bit of a chilly morning this morning, so it's good to just get moving before we start the walk poles. You can see that it's quite a small arena. This one, I've got 2 sets of 5 walk poles already set up. I like using raised walk poles, or even better, either logs or telegraph poles on blocks, as you can see there. I really like having quite solid obstacles for them to walk over so that they respect them. We will progress to slightly higher obstacles. I've got another set of telegraph poles which are a bit bigger than these ones, which we will move on to. But we're just starting out. I'll have a little snort. Oh dear. Toby, walk on. And over the pole. Oh dear, Toby. That's not such a good start. Over the poles. There we go. Half over the poles. So, as I said, he's had quite a period of time off. Toby, walk on. Toby, walk on. Good boy. And I'm wanting to prepare him to be as strong as possible so that when I start riding him, he's got a good posture, good core strength, and is able to maintain his posture when both carrying the weight of the rider and performing everything that I'm going to ask him to do. Good boy, walk on. I want him to maintain good back mobility. I want him to be as comfortable as possible. Toby is 11, rising 12 this year. Toby, walk on and then relax. There we go. So he has been fit before, so that should make the job easier. But I really do think, whatever age our horses are, Toby, walk on. I want them, I think, being as fit as possible before we start riding is an important part. So why am I long reining? That might be the next question, as opposed to leading. I think it's quite nice to be able to drive them forward, for them to truly think about their own feet. Toby, walk on, and be responsible for their own hoof-brain coordination, so to speak. You'll notice that each time after the poles, I encourage him to walk on, but then on the approach, I try to relax and let him slow down through the poles. The reason for this is, of course, that through the poles, Toby, walk on, the focus should be lifting the legs high, not stepping forward with long, fast steps. But actually, you want them to slow down and lift the legs. You'll see increased joint flexion. But not only that, the slower we go and the higher the legs come, the more the leg on the ground, Toby, walk on, has to be strengthening and balancing. So it's a good strengthening exercise for the lateral stabilizer muscles as well as the core muscles. So it's quite a difference when we walk through the poles. The walk should change here. Legs are higher, step is maybe shorter, there's no overtrack. Toby, walk on. And then here, the walk should be bigger with an overtrack and longer steps. And then once again, through the poles, shorter, higher steps. Slower, shorter, higher. And this will actually increase back rotation through the poles. Toby, walk on. Toby, walk on. Now I'm going to aim to do 10 sets, or 10 laps I should say, on each rein. I think that's a nice number just to start introducing him to this. I thought it'd be nice for you to see the behind the scenes look at how I'm going to go about bringing him back into work, and with a focus on posture and conditioning. That's the key thing. Any of you that have been to my lecture demonstrations or seen my webinars will know how much I love the benefits of pole work exercises. I really do think that it's something that generally we underutilise. And stand. And stand. Good boy, Toby. Back, 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 back. One more. Back. Good boy. Toby, walk on. Another little comment on voice aids. I think it's really important to be consistent with the choice of words that we use and the intonation, the way that we say it. So I've got quite a system that I use with my horses, and that is whenever I'm asking for an upwards transition, I say their name, and then I say either walk on, so Toby walk on, and then I'd say trot on and canter, so that it's always said in the same way. And if I want a downwards transition, I say the word and stand. Good boy. And if I was coming from trot to walk, I'd say and walk, for example. Toby, walk on. Good boy. And I think this consistency is really important, because if we use different words, different ways of saying it, then how are the horses going to know what we mean? We want to be as clear as we possibly can. So having that system is a good thing to consider. Good boy. Well done. You can, of course, lead your horse through the walk poles. Toby, walk on. Toby, walk on. But sometimes I find if you're doing it a lot, then you can end up feeling like you're pulling the horse from in front, especially if they get a little bit on the lazy or the unenthusiastic side. So this way, I loved how he slowed down then. This way, it's just they're thinking forward a little bit more, which is really, really good. Now this exercise, this little workout that I'm showing you, is it's great for if horses have been out of work due to injury and you're on a rehabilitation process. Obviously, I'd recommend that you speak to your vet and your physio to discuss the number of repetitions and when exactly in the rehab programme you're going to introduce the walk poles. And I think sometimes people perhaps don't use them enough. I think we need to remember that this is a low impact exercise, and the benefit of doing walk poles as opposed to trot or canter poles is that in walk there's no moment of suspension, so lifting the legs up to get over the poles is about muscle strength rather than using momentum or bounce as you'd see in the trot and the canter. It's a good workout for me too, strengthening my hip flexors. Toby, walk on. Now Toby, he was out of work, not through injury or anything like that, just because I've had a really busy time and I thought he'd enjoy a holiday. So we did the last lecture demonstration at the end of the season last year, Moulton College, at the end of September, and then a week later he had his shoes off and he went out in the field. He's been coming in and out. Unfortunately, we don't have masses of land, so he has been in for hay and things, but even then he's been wandering around the yard, so he's truly been having a holiday. I have been doing some walk work with him, some walk poles. We have poles set up on the way to and from the field, so he does those every day. I've been enjoying doing bits of massage and some of the Pilates exercises with him. But still building up in preparation for him coming back into work, I think is just so important. I'm sure people are going to ask me about the distances of these poles, and I've got them on 3 heel to toe or 3 fairy step. Toby, walk on, Toby, walk on. Just felt like he's losing a little bit of enthusiasm on the walk in between. So it's important, mind the cat, with walk poles not to have the distance too long. Toby, walk on. We can focus on getting a longer step between the poles here. Walk on, Toby. But when you were going over the poles, if you have the distance too long, it tends to cause the horse to go into extension in their back, which is something that we don't really want. It will compromise their back posture. And the focus, as I say before, we want the legs to be coming up, not to be reaching too far forwards. And if you do have the distance too long, particularly if your horse isn't strong enough, they can't get the long step and the high step and the control without either rushing or losing their back posture. Good boy, Toby. One of the challenges I have with this walk pole workout, I say to myself, I'm going to do 10 on each rein. And believe it or not, especially if you're chatting like I am today, it's quite hard to count to 10 without forgetting where you've got to. But I'm feeling that this has got to be something like 10. Toby, walk on. Oh, more than 10 I've just been told. So I'm going to make this the last set of poles for this video. I am intending to share more behind the scenes workouts that I do with Toby in preparation for bringing him back into work. And we'll just turn around here and stand. Good boy, Toby. Well done. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. It's given you inspiration. If you try it out with your horse, do let me know how you get on. And if you've got any questions or comments, just post them underneath this video. Good boy, Toby.